Hey everybody. So I just got done interviewing Terry Saka, and I hardly never do an intro to a video or interview that I've already just done. But this interview with Terry was so profound today. He is more prophetic than he even knows. He really is such a brilliant person. Not to mention the financial licenses that he has, runs a massive silver metal asset company, Cornerstone Asset Metals. It's always down in the description, has helped hundreds, I think even thousands at this point, roll over retirements and save their retirement to just help them. You know, the ones that called Terry Saka last year when silver was at $35, or some of them are multimillionaires rolling over their 401ks. But this is not why I'm doing this intro. I'm letting you know, stay through the whole thing. Terry, I had a light bulb moment when he was discussing his understanding and revelation about where this is all going, since he studies all of the fiats and the countries and the money and the charts and the derivatives and all of these things. It's going regional. Remember what I just said, regional, where we have nations taking entire regions. So, what would that look like? America with Canada and Mexico and Greenland and Venezuela as one region, and then Asia and Taiwan and then Russia with Ukraine. I know this doesn't sound like what we want to hear, but listen to this. It does set the stage for what we read in Revelation and in Daniel about the 10 kings that rise. Anyway, enjoy today's interview. It is a meaty one, and remember, contact down below. He is always in my descriptions. Cornerstone Asset Metals. Eve is the wonderful lady that always takes my orders, but anybody that answers the phone will be able to help you. They're Holy Spirit filled, and they oversee every transaction. All right, be blessed. Enjoy. Tell us,
Which
like,
is
I want to know, like, I'm your student when you come on here. What is happening? Why, Terry, all of a sudden are we exploding? I think I looked
yeah,
at silver right before I came on here. We're pushing 95. We may even be over that now.
90. Yeah, I'm 96 now almost. Yeah,
Wow.
I
Like,
know.
why?
It's incredible. It's incredible. And there's a lot of reasons for it. So if you want, I could just kind of lay out the update if you
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
okay, well, let's do this. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Invite you, Holy Spirit, into this interview. We love you, Lord. We thank you for wisdom, understanding. We just pray the shed blood of Jesus Christ over both of us, our families, our businesses, and this audience, that they have the wisdom, insight, and understanding that you need them to have. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Okay. So, what, just to kind of wrap this part up, is I about all the time. I know a lot of us feel like there's something coming, like they have to introduce something to bring us into the new financial system. So is it a false flag? Is it a market collapse? I mean, something has to happen for them to be able to usher in with overwhelming control with the digital ID, digital currencies.
Mhm.
Has to be a no, but what's interesting is it's looking like potentially it could be the T bonds. It could be bonds globally. Bonds are in a meltdown. Japan bonds are in meltdown. Europe, the event that ushers in the new system, because if the bonds start collapsing, the whole market's going down. And it's not us. Japan is really in a meltdown mode because of printing of currency, trying to stimulate. I know here we're going to print a lot of money. We're going to really bring rates down to about 1%, try to stimulate. But it's all about, and without getting into the technical weeds of bonds and the curves, yield curves, and everything else, there is a crisis in the bonds. And what's unfortunate is a lot of people still are in the stock market, especially the older ones, and their financial advisors. Being an old financial advisor, I know the rule is they put you in bonds to your age. So if you're 70 years old, they're telling you 70% bonds. They're getting crushed in bonds. So the returns they're getting on the bonds is lower than inflation. And so they're just in the wrong place. These financial advisors are not doing a very good job at all, and people are missing tremendous wealth transfer,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. I just hope they heed it. I have clients that still haven't moved over. I just their financial advisor goes and has dinner with them. Well, I hope you enjoy that dinner because it's costing you a fortune in your retirement, and they're not going to pay you back of your lost opportunity, which is really sad. But this bond crisis is pretty legit. Bonds are really crushing people's retirement and the retail people that are in the stock market. But another thing that's kind of interesting beyond just the bonds is the Supreme Court right now. They haven't laid it out yet, but there's a Supreme Court case there about tariffs. And can Trump charge these
Right.
tariffs? They may say no to the tariffs. If they say, I can't imagine they will, but if they were to say no to the tariffs, silver is going parabolic
Hmm.
probably for a few days. It'll go up limit. It'll go up $10 a day for a few days minimum. The T bonds are going to sell off even more. It would be catastrophic for our country if they were to do that. So I really hope they heed that wisdom and don't. I hope they allow the tariffs. If they don't, that's going to be a real big foretell. So if you see or hear the headlines that Supreme Court has rejected tariffs, we are going to be in deep trouble. Markets are going to sell off. Gold and silver are going parabolic. It's just going to be a terrible situation. But, that's kind of in front of us. But what gets really interesting, and let me just kind of lay this part out, is we know central banks and large wealth, they're buying gold. I know one of the biggest gold buyers right now is Tether
Yeah.
stablecoin,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting for a lot of people to know why Tether is really the one that is taking in the U.S. Treasuries and bonds on behalf of the government, because most countries are now selling our bonds, not buying, and they're buying gold with these bonds, and that I think kind of foretells they possibly could be setting up the stage for a gold revaluation at the Treasury, because
Hmm.
on the books at the Treasury, it's what, $42 and change. That's instant liquidity by the trillions if gold revalues and then it moves higher. That could be a good move, and we could have a gold backed 50-year Treasury note. But the central banks and large wealth has hedge funds, sovereigns, they're buying gold and silver, especially since silver has been made a critical mineral in the United States. They're buying. Retail people, for whatever reason, are in the stock market. Now, we have been extremely busy. For the first time, I've had even old clients calling up
Wow.
with substantial funds in the stock market, and they're like, I got to get out, and
Yeah.
I wish you would have done that, 9 months ago. But going forward, it's okay, because where we're going here is much better than what the stock market's going to do. But you got to reevaluate. And I'm sorry if he's your best friend or she's your best friend of 20 years and they hang out with your grandkids. That is not paying you the additional
Right.
opportunity in your retirement. So I don't really know what to say, except they're wrong at this time in history. We're going into this fourth turning. This new financial system is coming. And I truly believe most financial advisors are really ignorant to
Yeah.
it. They're so busy trying to raise money. They're not studied up, and their brokerages are telling them, here's what you do with it. Put everybody in the same funnel. And they're just missing out on one of the greatest wealth transfers next to what happens when crypto finally takes off. That could be a while yet, but this is a doozy of it. So why is this happening? There's a couple of reasons. Number one, the naked shorting. Now, that's what the United States COMEX market has been doing for decades. They basically are selling contracts in the futures market of silver that are 5,000 ounces each on paper for physical silver they don't own.
Hmm.
That's known as a naked short. Well, we have Basel III. And Basel III has been implemented. It's been on the books legally worldwide for a long time. But Basel III kills the paper trade. They basically make it extremely expensive to have naked short derivative positions on the books. So you either have to unwind the position by buying physical, or you need to sell that paper at a substantial loss. And so that's a big part of what you're seeing play out. I know a lot of people chatter on the internet that there are a handful of banks that in the West, especially, that are naked short, and they are naked short like billions of ounces. They're
Wow.
in deep trouble. And we're talking tens and tens of billions of a loss. I'm not sure how they're getting out of that. They cannot manipulate anymore like they used to. And Basel III is really putting them up against the wall. So Basel III is like legit. It's literally the new standard on banking globally. This was all set way back years and years ago. So they can no longer have these naked shorts. And so that's why you're seeing a rebalancing pressure for banks internationally. And HSBC, which is English, and Citibank, Bank of America in America, they're stuck. They're in deep, deep contracts naked. And I just don't know what they're doing to get out of this. My guess is they've been hedging with calls, trying to buy the physical, but the physical's not there.
Yeah.
So when people are hearing about this liquidity crisis in the physical market, this is true. Now, good news, there is physical silver. So let's not get in the panic mode, or don't allow someone to say it's not available, because it is,
Mm.
but it's not in the right form. So for the markets, for the industrial, it needs to be in 1,000-ounce bars. A lot of silver is floating around that is in coinage
Yep.
or smaller form. And so the refineries are really backed up. So for everyone, have patience, please. I've seen so many people on the internet with huge audiences, crying and whining about, oh, they said 10-day delivery and it's not
Right.
there. Do they even own it? Is my money going to be stolen? It's like, just be quiet.
Yeah.
They're buying the physical right when you give them the money and it clears. They're buying it, but it's called get in line
Mhm.
because there's 1,000 people in front of you, and it's extremely delayed in the industry. Refineries are working overtime and even on the weekends.
Yeah.
They're not only refining for the actual market for these 1,000-ounce bars, people are selling, which I get it, I suppose. It was always good to, hedge a little bit and sell, but there's a lot more coming.
Right.
But they're behind. So we're easily 4 weeks in the rear on order flow, and there's nothing we can do. It's the refinery, it's the mint, it is the depository. Everyone is so backed up.
It's
It's
even
just,
happening here. I had somebody, I can't remember who it was, maybe someone on Patreon, or I can't remember at church, but they were like, we went to these coinage shops to buy us some more silver, and they just did not have a supply. They were telling us that
wow.
that the silver, there is silver, just like you said, but I'm sorry, we just have a delay. Like it's already, what's been showcased has been bought. We've ordered
Mm,
more, but it's just not getting. So that's
right.
right. I mean, you just have to, I mean, you just got to wait it out. If you
You
don't have
have
it,
no
you're safe.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. We're all kind of like, for because it's difficult, because especially Cornerstone, you have a pretty big float moving around. And so there's like a lot of stuff moving. There's a lot of money changing
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
Um, I'm amazed at how many people are flooding in at this price point. But when they see where it's going, they'll understand why it's still okay. But as I said, they have sold like 300 ounces on paper to every one real physical ounce. And here's where it's interesting and why you're seeing also the push in the price. There's a few reasons, and that's why it'll really help people feel more comfortable. Normally in the COMEX, the futures market, they were there just to provide liquidity from the miners to the end producers like Samsung and Tesla and others, military. They're like the middle person. They were there just providing liquidity to a market. That's what the futures market was about. Same thing with corn and wheat and copper and nickel. They provided liquidity, so it allowed, people like farmers to go into contract, and liquidity in the market allows them to be able to move in and out easier. The COMEX was not designed for massive delivery.
Yeah.
So on average, the United States COMEX was probably getting maybe 100 contracts standing for delivery. Most people in the futures market were really just there trading, kind of riding it up, selling it off. It was just a trade, settling for cash. Well, that's changed dramatically. So not only is it not just 100 contracts a month, it is thousands of contracts standing for
How do they
delivery.
fill those? I mean, I
They're
guess
not. And that's why maybe come March, we could be seeing a huge problem where this could come into force majeure. This could be I don't know what they're going to do because London on the last delivery, March is the next delivery for the contracts. London had to borrow, lease with interest, 700 million ounces from China.
oh wow.
Now China's locked down since January 1st. China has locked down exporting of silver. You have to get permission from the Politburo, and good luck on that. They know what they're holding.
Wow.
The world is not just silver, it's all commodities
Hmm.
because we're going into a massive global currency and printing scheme, which I'm going to get into a little bit on China, but they're in trouble. So they're not delivering. And we haven't really been delivering well in the United States for probably a couple few years. It's known as an EFP, it's an exchange for physical. They've been sending EFPs over to London from America because London was doing the fulfilling of these contracts. That was only when it was like 100 contracts a month.
Hmm.
So when they borrowed leased with interest, and what's interesting to me is they've got to pay it back. So where are they getting that 700 million ounces? I don't know. Half of it ended up going to India.
Hmm.
Only half of it went to London. So London's in deep trouble. I mean, the COMEX only has a couple weeks of real physical eligible silver. So they were really leaning on London. And because the Chinese and others are hoarding, not really hoarding, but knowing these are critical minerals, and it's not just silver, it's gold, silver, copper,
Copper. Yeah.
nickel, palladium, platinum is becoming a really big one too. They just need these minerals,
Yeah.
rare earth minerals, and resources because AI takes a tremendous amount of silver, let alone all the solar panels for power in India and China, and what they need for rare earth minerals and critical elements. They just need it.
This puts
And
in
so,
perspective the whole Greenland and Venezuela thing with Trump. I mean, it's just the race for these assets, these minerals.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
among other
exactly it.
things, of course, in national security, but this is huge. I mean, that puts it in
This is very
perspective.
huge. And yeah, and Trump is very aware of this. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not just Trump. I don't get the rest of our Congress, and these people are so bought off
they are.
or ignorant, but Trump like gets it.
Yeah,
So you may not like his bluster and his narcissism, but I tell you what, this guy is one of the
smart.
greatest presidents we've had in my lifetime,
Right.
going back to Reagan. And I mean, this guy gets it,
He does.
but they don't. So we're in a lot of trouble on delivery, is why if I'm getting in or you're reallocating, you better get on the pony and do it before March, because if that doesn't play out, the markets are in trouble. So what would they do? Force majeure. Force majeure means they could force those holding contracts to settle in cash or outright cancel the contract. And many
Wow.
people think, well, they can't do that. Well, they did it in England. I think it was the nickel trade in England in like 2020. They just canceled contracts.
Yeah.
Now, that's bad for your reputation, but they could. So, does force majeure impact we the people? No. This would be just those 1,000 ounce COMEX bars for industrial. The futures market was just a place to go conveniently for a corporation and industry. Get your 1,000 ounce bar. It's been certified, it's been assayed, they know what they're getting, and they use that for business. But what we're seeing now, people like Samsung, huge electronics company, Tesla, and other large corporations, they're going directly to the mines. They're
Hmm.
not even going into the marketplace. They're going directly to the source and making deals, getting the doré out of the mine. And then I don't know if where they're refining it,
That's
probably sending it to
interesting.
our refineries,
Yeah.
but they're going directly to the sources. So they know. And at the end of the day, even if silver is $1,000 an ounce, we were doing calculations. It's only going to raise the price of a Tesla car by maybe $2,000.
Right.
So it's not stopping anybody from buying. Electronics, it raises just a small amount. Militaries, they'll still buy it. They got the budget. So a lot of people are saying, oh, they're going to steal our silver or confiscate. No, I don't buy it. It's way, way too needed in the industrial complex,
Hmm.
right down to a company making bathroom mirrors, of course, right? So silver is so necessary and so many businesses from large international down to small business, right down to I just bought two hats. A pretty cool little hat, like a beanie type. I bought a beanie and the whole inside was lined with silver thread.
Oh, wow.
Now
How
no,
bougie, Terry. I want one of
I'm
those.
telling you,
Sounds
how you know
awesome.
what? I wish I had the name of it. I'll text you, but what in super reasonable price. But what a
How
cool
cool.
one of them's like super thick and warm for like the cold
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah.
Another one is super thin, like you could almost wear to bed. But it's actually designed because it's silver thread, it'll actually block out Wi-Fi and
That's what I
other.
hear. Yeah.
Yes. And so, right down to clothing. Like, I even have some clothes, some shirts that are all silver lined because it fights bacteria and odor.
Yep.
And so,
And they're
when you
making
really,
sheets. Have you seen this? There's a sheet company that is making their sheets threaded with silver because of
God,
the antibacterial and dust mites and things and allergy and things, and it's starting to become mainstream. So this is
wow.
huge.
And I mean, think about that for grounding too.
Yeah.
If I see sheets that made a silver line, I'm
I'm
getting them.
telling you, I'll send it to you. It's getting big.
Okay, because the way I look at it is that also because we can't turn Wi-Fi off as much as I would love to.
No.
I mean, it's tied to my cameras and security systems and everything else. That's the part I really dislike about technology.
Hmm.
Even my music is tied in through Wi-Fi Sonos, which really bothers me. I'm looking for an old-fashioned, literally CD player set with
Good
speakers
luck.
just in case the system goes down because I love music. So we
Yeah.
always have something playing in the background, like just real chilling jazz or classical or country or
Hmm.
depending on our mood, a lot of good Christian blasting music too, praise and worship. Silver being that in demand from small business up, they're not confiscating it.
Right.
So you can feel comfortable, you're okay. So if force majeure were to happen, you're going to be fine. They're just talking on the institutional level, but the explosion to price discovery, if that happens, wow.
So
So
it's not too late for the people coming up to me going, is it too late? What do you think? What does Terry Socket say?
no,
Is it too late? Terry Socket says no, it's
no.
not
And I'll
too
get into a
late.
little more on that too right now because no. And yeah, you can, bang your head on the wall if you want to. Oh, I should have bought it at $20. Well, yeah, we
Yeah.
knew that, but it's okay. It's a lot more reasonable than gold as gold starts marching towards $6,000 this year. It's at 48, almost 4,900 an ounce now. Gold will easily see $6,000 this year.
Yeah.
Silver probably about 150. But here's where you just need to know this is also technical. It's not just the reasons we just talked about. The ratio, how many ounces of silver it takes to buy 1 ounce of gold.
Hmm.
This historically has always been like 16 to 1. But through manipulation, it was averaging about 80, 70 to 1. Every time in the last 130 years or so, silver gold ratio went to 101 and above, it was a major collapse, which meaning those over the last 40, 50 years who followed this pattern bought gold when the ratio was low, bought silver when the ratio, or reverse that, they made a fortune in compounding. So gosh, probably 5 months ago, 6 months ago, the ratio was about 108 to 1. And I'm screaming. I'm like, it's 108 to 1. Sell your gold, sell gold and buy
I
silver.
remember our conversation about that. You had the charts and you're like, Lauren, listen,
Yes.
like this is happening. And it did.
It did. Well, here's where we're at now. So it did. So that's why silver went up well over 160% last year and gold was only like 40 some percent because the ratio had collapsed.
Hmm.
So it was about 108 to 1. Now it's sitting around 52 to 1. And so that's why you've seen silver rise so much faster. Silver is really hyper volatile because now you're seeing, as we remember we talked about, we had those trolls saying when I said $2 days become $5 days and they're
Yeah.
kind of giving me a hard time. I'm like, yeah, eat that one. How you like it? Because we were through the holidays, we were going up like $7 a
Yep.
day and then down 4, and volatility is out of control.
Yeah.
Could we get a sell off? Absolutely, it could sell off 10, 20%. So what?
Right.
That would be healthy.
We're
Just a
still
time to.
above 30 bucks where we were holding for
It's
years,
it's
right?
never
Like,
going back to 30 anytime soon. It can't.
no.
It can't because it's a true commodity that is in need. AI, robotics, technologies, military. We can go on and on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now that it's 52 to 1. So here's why you still can feel comfortable moving forward. Minimally, now this is in the mining circles, the real professional, not business hype or any of that. These are the real professionals. We can see easily the ratio being 20 to 1. And so let's say silver is easily going, or I'm sorry, gold is going to probably 6,000 this year. Overall, and even Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan said he can see gold 7,500 to 10,000 an
I've
ounce.
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they do revalue gold in the treasury and they go that route, gold can easily go to like 20,000. That's where I've had colleagues tell me because they're going to use it to instantly create gold certificates in the treasury. It's going to add like 4 or 5 trillion instantly in liquidity in the treasury and booms our economy. And Trump knows this. So does Scott Bessent and everyone else around Trump. They're gold people. So they
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So if that were to happen, fine. But then where is silver going? So we know 20 to 1 is extremely reasonable. So let's say gold's at 6,000. 20 to 1 is $300 silver.
Oh my gosh.
See, so 7,500, you can start doing the math. I have colleagues that see it at 10 to 1 on the ratio, and
Oh.
the extreme ones say it's going to be 1 to 1. Now,
Oh.
I don't see governments allow that to some extent because it's such a critical mineral.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be reasonable. 20 to 1 absolutely is reasonable on the ratio. I still think it could blow through the bottom and go to 10 to 1. Now, when that happens, that's the time to sell silver and then buy gold. Now,
I
depending on what's going on in the world, you re-diversify. If the crypto finally gets the laws going and adoption starts happening, then that would be the time to start taking another position there. Or if we've cleaned it out and the markets have finally gotten back to normal parity, we could start re-diversifying in some biotechs or AI. But right now, I don't know. I can foresee, and I know they better do it sooner than later because I know Trump would want this. We, within the next 2, 3 months, could see an absolute implosion in the market. It's because AI is in deep trouble,
uh-huh.
and you could see those stocks just take down the whole market. When that happens, which I think it can over the next 2, 3 months, that would be healthy. Good. Get it out of the way. We need a cleansing. That's perfect timing for Trump to bring in the new Federal Reserve chair, I think is May. And they're going to slam those rates down like no tomorrow. The dollar's going to collapse. And so between printing of trillions in liquidity into the markets, rates coming down to 1%, the dollar dropping, you're going to see real estate move. You're going to see money moving around. Tax refunds are going to be bigger than they've ever been because of the laws they passed.
Yeah.
People are going to have money, which I think that is going to help stimulate crypto because a lot of people, if they get 3, 4 thousand extra dollars, they're going into crypto a lot of
Or the
time. That's what.
stimulus thing that Trump has been talking about since October that he wants to give back because of the tariffs. That stimulus,
Yes.
the
Right.
quantitative easing thing he wants to do.
Yes. Yeah, he was looking like a tariff check.
Yeah.
That's why the Supreme Court doing that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And most of them are on our side. So, a few of them are just so whacked out, unintelligent, but that's DEI for you, with Biden. But so we're looking really good. When the rates come down, the dollar's going to come down. They're going to print a lot. We're talking trillions right now. I had shown through past podcasts where our liquidity was, and it is actually was negative. That's why, of course, things have been kind of flat. But you start pumping trillions into the system with a 1% interest rate and dollar dropping, number one, perfect storm for gold and silver prices. So not just the demand, not just the critical mineral, those three actions alone will explode valuation. So when people think $300 silver is high, yeah, you're going to be surprised. It could even be a lot higher than that.
Hmm.
So that's still doubling and tripling of your money. Are you going to double and triple in the stock market the next 18 months? No. Not really, because we're probably going to get this correction, which I kind of hope because I actually have puts on Nvidia and Plantier, but that's another conversation. But it would be a good cleansing, and then what would happen is that would force them to slam the rates and provide liquidity, which then will generate by maybe end of summer just a
A
boom in
super
the
cycle.
economy.
Yeah.
Yes. Real estate will explode. Like
Do you
there's
think
the
it'll go
inventory is
higher?
not there.
Do you think the real
Pardon?
estate prices will go higher? Like when you say real estate will explode, do you think the prices will go higher or just say buying boom?
I think it's going to be a buying boom.
Okay.
So, to what extent that makes real estate prices go higher,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that'll become regional in supply demand because there's places like Florida that have a tremendous amount of
Sure.
oversupply. And it's going to be supply demand. Places like, Montana or a very specific low level inventory because of land, those will probably go up a lot higher. Yes. But
Yeah.
it'll be a buying boom, which a lot of people are waiting. So many people had 3% mortgages. Why would they take a 7,
Right.
8% mortgage?
Right.
So you will see a massive move, which then, of course, real estate people make money, contractors make money. And so all of a sudden, we get this snowball of economy moving in small business right about the time that they're prepping for the elections. So that's why I'm fairly encouraged that we could do very well. And if we do, that gives us a few more years here with the right thinking, literally, and President Trump's agenda. People will be very satisfied because the policies are unbelievable. So
Would you
that's kind of go ahead.
What would you think then, or suggest, or maybe what would be your opinion? Okay, so they have the silver, it's rising, and we have this housing boom. Would you say it's safe maybe to skin some of their profits as a down payment on a home, or would you still just kind of wait? I mean, because the silver's kind of going to continue. What do you think?
That's such a tough question because I have people asking me now. We have some clients pretty substantial
Yeah,
growth,
right.
and we're like, at this point, where do we pull it at 200, at 300, and we pull maybe 50% out, go into a cash value policy that gives you guaranteed income for the rest of your life, and then leave half maybe still running. Those are very difficult decisions.
Yeah.
Same thing with real estate because we look at it this way. What's the potential rise to the silver top? And feel comfortable. We've been talking about this a lot, but we are in a commodity super cycle. And we are looking minimally at least 2 more years as they blow out printing all of these
Mm,
currencies, which is going to lead me to the final most important point here. As they're printing currencies worldwide, we're blowing it out. And so during that period, how much more does the price rise in silver for profit versus the home price rising? And so if the home price rises, 10%, but your silver rises 150%,
yeah,
it doesn't matter if you're paying more for the home because you're still making more in the profit of silver.
right.
And so when we get at those higher levels, there will be difficult decisions for people when to pull. But at the same time, there are rare properties and rare opportunities. So, if you're going into just a neighborhood that, there's always a house available.
Yeah,
But if you're looking at like, ranch land in Montana or farmland or something very specific, you may want to jump that land
right.
or that opportunity because it's a very rare piece of land. And so there's going to be a lot of circumstances that'll dictate that. But for now, because we know we're in a 2 year minimum commodity boom as all of the countries in the world are printing. Because remember, Germany, France, they're bankrupt. And how this is probably playing down, I think I mentioned this before, but it kind of lets people see the landscape. We're going regional. The United States is no longer the global power. BRICS is definitely cemented. They're backing their currencies by gold. That's why they're building depositories in the countries of BRIC nations to give them confidence. We're going regional. And so Venezuela was a really huge deal.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the drugs, although thank you, because overdose deaths are really way down. So thank you, President Trump. But it was more about taking regional control. That's why Greenland, if you look at the map, Greenland belongs to our region. And Greenland, beyond the minerals, it really is truly about the Golden Dome air defense
That's
system, missile
right.
defense. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the biggest one right there. But it's okay. They're going to work that out because Trump, they've been trying to, for everyone, please, they've been trying to take Greenland for decades and decades. So if
Yeah.
you just do your history, you'll know this is not unusual. Trump's just the one that gets it done. Like he's
He
like,
does.
okay,
I
it's
love him.
happening. We're taking it, whether you like it or not. It belongs
Nobody
in our
gives me a
hemisphere.
belly laugh like that man. Like, if I
Yes.
just want to hysterically laugh, I'll find any video of his publicly anywhere and I love him. He's so funny.
Yes.
Like,
You know,
someone
he
was asking him about, like, I don't know, like the car or something going on in Venezuela and like the boats. He's like, I don't know. Maybe we'll just kill him. We're just going to kill him.
yeah.
I don't know what you want me to
You know,
say.
when you see him on casual conversation, he really is funny.
He's funny.
Like he's got a great sense of humor. And so the left, obviously, come on, the left, bottom line, they're socialist, Marxist, socialist, communists. They're really irritated because we're breaking down all of the corruption. I mean, look at the hundreds of billions in these blue states and blue cities that they're defrauding the taxpayers,
Yeah.
especially with the Somalian stuff. They're just flat out criminals and they're connecting the money like Elon Omar. They're connecting the money from the Somali community to Elon Omar's campaign, her campaign money going to her husband's business. That girl's getting kicked out of this country, if we can hope.
Yep.
But this corruption, the way I look at it is don't get political. It's corruption that is money that could in Minnesota, money that could have improved the roads, improved the schooling,
Yep.
improved the healthcare for the real Minnesota people, not these illegal aliens.
Right.
So the money's being money laundered to politicians. And that's why Democrats are flipped out over Doge
Because
and the
they're
cuts.
involved. Yeah.
They're involved. All that, like the NGOs, non government organizations, nonprofits, they were all money laundering millions and billions and hundreds of billions into Democrat socialist causes worldwide and our politicians.
Yeah.
And so the way I look at it is okay, they were smart enough to be corrupt and no one's, well, hopefully Pam Bondi is going to be laying down the hammer, but should they all be arrested? Yes. But look at the bottom line, hundreds of billions going to we the people in helping the true poor,
Yeah.
helping them be educated so they don't have to be on welfare, helping our communities with infrastructure and energy and bridges and so forth. There's so much we could do with hundreds of billions for we the people instead of these fraud, corrupt politicians and left wing groups. So that's more my take. I don't care about the politic of it. I mean, the left is corrupt, period.
Yeah. They're
It's
so
more
crazy.
about what you're stealing from really good American people that truly deserve it.
You know what I think is going to happen, Terry? This is just my vision. I believe as the ship goes down, as Trump ends his whatever, and I don't even know where we're headed in 2030. I've got that in my mind of just watch
Mm.
it. I think that us, the Josephs or the silver investors and the ones that have these massive wells that we have been accumulating and holding are gonna be the life preservers holding it all up. Because
100%.
I think we'll
Yes.
be the 1% where the government is
Yeah.
actually looking at us, the Josephs, to fund the government because it's
Yeah.
the ship is sinking and we are now the floats. I just it just seems that way, right?
No,
Like,
I think that's brilliant. I think when Cornerstone was established, God kind of made it really clear to me, get my people ready for what is coming. And wait till I tell you about what's going on with China. Make sure don't check out yet if anyone they're watching this.
yeah,
Wait until you hear what's going on with China. But as they continue to do this, God made it real clear to me, get my people ready. And that's what I've been doing. This now you're seeing why. But it wasn't so that we can enjoy the filet mignon, although I don't think he cares that we eat that.
right.
And although that's my favorite steak. But it's that we have the overwhelming resources from this wealth transfer to be the support line into our communities, into relationships. Think about if people are hurting and we can pay the electric bill or provide food for a month.
Mhm.
It opens the door for the gospel. It opens the door to tell them, trust in me with all your heart.
Yep.
Lean not on your understanding. Come to me, that light, that narrow path that leads to life, and I will show you the way to not just prosperity, but to solving issues, to healing your ailments, to curing you of anxiety and any type of form of oppression. He is there for that. And that was the bigger purpose of
Yeah.
our wealth. I mean, I guess I hear some people, the prophetic people out there, oh, this is all God's money. I'm like, listen, man, believe me,
He's got
God
enough
wants
money.
exactly. Come on, man. Who are you kidding? Okay. God doesn't care. We are kings and priests in heaven. How many kings
I
are
mean, he
poor?
lines the streets with gold, okay? He's
Right.
got
Come
like, he
on.
doesn't care about money.
He doesn't care that you have money. So don't think if you make $1 million, you have to give it all away. Now, even tithing in the Bible, the New Testament is not one scripture about tithing. That's an old law that Jesus fulfilled. He said, give of your heart. The poor will always be with us. Give of your heart, and he will direct you how to give.
Yes.
So it could be anything. It doesn't have to be the church per se. I love supporting certain
Me
ministries that
too.
are doing good things and helping people, like the way you educate. I think that stuff's important because we in the kingdom need educated, that's for sure. And so supporting in those ways what your heart says, that's what God tells us to do. It's not a certain number.
No.
But don't kid yourself. You are a king and a priest. You can be wealthy. Religion thinks you should be poor. That is a lie.
Yeah.
You can be wealthy and happy and bless others. That's the given. So let me go real quick on China. So we
Okay.
talk about printing currencies. This is a big deal. Brilliant. Trump gets it, but the Congress, not so much. China is going parabolic in printing currency. They are printing trillions and trillions right now. And in doing so, of paper currency, they're doing it for a reason. They're buying commodities around the world. Now, I've seen them do it in Africa when I was there, in South America. They're running around printing this currency up, going to real mines, real land, real commodity producers, and buying the resources.
Hmm.
They're smart. They know we're blowing this thing out.
Hmm.
Everyone knows we have a new financial system coming. It's going to be stablecoin, CBDC in a lot of the world, hopefully just stablecoin and currency here in the United States. Democrats have made it clear. So for anyone that wants to know, Democrats made it clear they will go CBDC and you will be a slave. I don't care what you think about politics. That's one reason alone you do not vote for left Democrat anytime soon, because if they are the ones blocking Congress in the Senate from passing a law making CBDC illegal in the United
Right.
States,
Right.
because you need 60 votes. Personally, I would have done the nuclear option like Trump said, but Republicans are just weak kneed. But It's the Democrats wanting CBDC. Biden was trying to do it. If they go CBDC, every dollar you have and
Mhm.
spend will go right to the IRS, right to a database,
Yeah.
and they will control our behavior. To me, that is the only reason to vote Republican. And even though
Yeah.
they're not all the best, it's better than being a slave.
Hmm.
So, because the world knows we're going into this new financial system, which will be digital currency, we know it's coming. We know a handful of these cryptos, especially the ISO 2022, which is like
Right.
H bar,
Right.
XRP,
Yep.
XLM. We know those are going to be major players because they're already confirmed. They're well over 10 years old. They're going into tokenization. State Street is even come out and said that they were going to start tokenizing uh, money markets and bonds and stock. I mean, we're talking trillions upon trillions. And they have in their paper, they said, as an example, a blockchain hash graph like H bar. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It was now they said it as an example. This would be one that would
Well,
tokenize.
why would they just pick that one as an example? Right? Like,
That's my
like
take. So
wink,
why would
wink.
you, yeah, why would you say that unless you're like going into H bar? So we know that these ISO 2022s down the road, maybe 3, 5 years, 7 years, will be absolutely phenomenal.
Right.
Right now, though, play it where it's hot. That is in commodities. Crypto is not going anywhere until we get the law passed, adoption takes
Clarity
place. It's
Act.
just going to be, it's just
Mhm.
delayed. That's all.
Mhm.
So as China is aware, they're running around buying all these natural resources, opportunities, and land. We know we're blowing out. So that's why Trump is going to print trillions. That's why everyone's printing currencies. Why we're going to get a reboom in the economies because they're printing these currencies. They know it's the end
And
of one era and we're moving into another. We know now it is no longer a unipolar world, meaning the United States in control. It is officially a multipolar world. And so this is my opinion, but I bet I'm going to be pretty close to this. China and Russia was really embedded in Venezuela. And yet there wasn't a peep out of anyone when we went and did that. I have a feeling there's an agreement. We're going regional. China and Russia understand it very clearly. Back channels approved. United States, you're going to have South America. You can have Venezuela, Cuba. You can have your region. It's your region,
that's
Greenland too.
good.
That's your
That's good.
turf.
Yeah.
China, you're getting Taiwan. Russia is going to get Eurasia. It's getting Ukraine.
And Poland, I think they'll go for Poland too.
Ugh, that would be a tough one, but yeah, the Poland. I like the Polish people. They're
I
really good
know.
conservative,
I
man. They're like
know.
us.
But he's got
But
his eye on that.
yeah, but they it's just about the buffer. Listen, go to World War II. If you were Russians, I wouldn't trust NATO anyway. So
Yeah, yeah.
they're going to get Russia is getting Ukraine. BlackRock and England are going to own the resources and the land and the food
Mm-hmm.
production.
Mm-hmm.
We made the mineral deal with Ukraine, which happens to be in the Russian territory. So Trump has worked out a deal with Putin, probably saying, listen, we're going to buy those minerals from you, though. And so this deal, as we're in a multipolar world with BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, all the others that are going into BRICS, that region is going to belong to BRICS. Gold backed currency note, yuan settlement currency for trade. Russia's right in the middle with the Eurasia. They're going to keep their warm water ports for their nukes, and they're going to be secure with the land, especially they get in Ukraine. So now they don't have to be worried about being invaded by NATO. NATO is the one that started this whole thing anyway. And then we are going to get our hemisphere. The dollar is going to become regional.
Hmm.
This is a big deal because the trillions that were printed in the float worldwide, about 70% of printed currency is out in the world.
Terry, I think you're onto something because do you remember the prophecy from John Paul Jackson where he saw Canada and Mexico merge with the US dollar? Somehow
Yeah, the
Trump,
Amero, the Amero.
yes, that makes you're painting this picture. However, this will look, him trying to duct tape our dollar basically together, trying to keep it afloat. Regional, regional.
Regional. And that also would lead into the 10 king concept, but in
Yes,
Revelation. But
yes.
yes, we're becoming regional. The dollar, being that all these dollars are out there in the float around the world, that's a big problem for us for inflation. Because if all those start coming home, China's going to probably capture about 60% of trade settlement
Mm,
in the yuan brick currency world.
mm.
That's huge. So if you notice somebody I left out of this equation, multipolar world, the United States is controlling the Maro territory. You're right, with Greenland. We're controlling that. That's
Yeah,
our turf. Stay away. China, Russia, don't come near us. We're fine.
yeah.
China's going to control the Pacific Rim. It's their turf. I get it. Taiwan, you're gone, probably, my guess. Russia's going to control the Eurasian Rim. Done. Who did I leave out?
The Middle
Europe.
East. Oh, and Europe.
Well, Middle East is going to be probably Middle East is interesting. They're going to lean into the Eurasia Rim and into the Western Rim, but Middle East is going into BRICS too. There's a
Yeah.
handful of Middle Eastern
The
nations there.
Saudis. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're really good. They're playing both sides of the fence. So the Middle East is really good at playing both sides. I mean, the Saudi crown prince, he loves Trump. Like loves him. I mean, he
Yeah.
gave him the most royal reception when Trump
I've
got
never
there.
seen anything like
And
it.
when Biden shows up, he fist bumps him, dropped off on a car. Like they hate the left in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So if Trump and then Vance and Rubio continue, we will have strong relationships in the Middle East. If it goes to the left again, if Democrats take over, they're going to hate us. They'll go to China. So people don't have any idea the consequence of their vote, but that's a big deal. So who are we leaving out?
Europe.
Europe.
Hmm.
Europe's done. They
Hmm.
have nothing.
I
They
wonder
don't
why if
produce.
that's Macron is like a cat trying to
Yeah.
get about like he is doing the most erratic things, complaining about the craziest
Yeah.
things, trying to control everything. Macron is like, I wonder if, like you said, the euro. Brrr.
The euro is gone. In my opinion, they don't have anything. They don't produce. They don't really have a lot of minerals. I mean, they have the oil, and I think in Norway or one of the, have that up there. Denmark, one of those. But they don't have anything. And
Yeah,
besides that, Trump laid it out at Davos and the
yeah.
UN. Sorry, Europe, you're becoming Islam. You might as well call
True.
London Stan.
That's true. That's
So
so true.
these are locusts, man. The
Yes.
Islam are
It's the
like locusts.
ideology. It's a cancer. That ideology is just
Yes.
like a stage 4 cancer.
It's a stage 4 cancer and they hate you.
Yeah.
You are considered kofir. Read it. Read the Quran.
Yep.
I've read
Yep.
all these. That you are considered kofir, meaning you're an infidel. They are allowed under their law to lie to you, to cheat you, to corrupt you. That's why Obama was able to lie so well because
Yep.
he's Islamic. I don't care what anybody says.
Yep. They're allowed to.
And I mean, we elected a guy named Mohammed, man. I mean, what's the matter with you? But and there's some good Muslim people. Don't get me wrong. The real middle ground ones. They don't. They're just part of it because they have to. But they're very westernized. So there's some good people. But overall, Islam, I don't care what anybody says. It does not belong in the West. So Europe is destroyed.
Yes.
They're infested with this locust that is destroying their cultures. They'll hang on to a few cities here and there, but they will be taken over and they will be going to Sharia law as they are right now in a lot of those areas.
Yep.
Germany doesn't produce. They blew up the pipeline for energy. Germany and BASF and the big industrials of Germany, they had to tear down factories and leave because energy was too expensive because they needed that Russian energy. Now they're buying American liquid natural gas. It's costing them a fortune. I mean, they're just ruined. And
Yeah.
Trump nailed it.
He did.
These leaders are either completely inept and stupid, brainwashed, into that communist ideology, or who
Yep.
knows, or they know they're doing it.
Hmm.
And for what reason, I have no idea, except as all communists do, if they go, which they are in England, they're already doing it in some of these countries, full digital ID, full digital currency,
Yes.
CBDC. They will control everything you do, although they do now. Heck, in England, they're arresting you for just saying something on the internet.
Right.
They've lost the freedom of being the West. And Vance has said it, Rubio has said it, Trump has said it. Europe is gone. So my guess, Europe breaks apart. The southern countries in the northern countries, they're not jiving, they're dragging on each other. My guess is the euro is probably going to bust up to some extent, and they may go back to their own currencies, they may form something different,
Mm.
but Europe's done. They're
Hmm.
completely wiped out, there's no real future for Europe because of their immigration. They've lost their culture and they don't produce.
I agree.
Now that energy is out of control, Germany was the production engine. France, yeah, sure. Well, I don't even like French wine anyway. So, what are you producing? What are you really producing
Yeah, why are you
that
there?
the world is hanging on to? What's that?
I said, yeah, like why are you there? Like
Yeah.
it's almost like we forget they're there because you're right, they don't produce anything. Like there's nothing there to go nothing comes out of them
No,
besides
no,
Islam right now.
no, not even those fancy bags, because a lot of those bags are made in China. They send them to Paris, and they maybe install the last clipper of chain to the expensive bag, and then they say, yeah, it's made in France. No, it's not. You're a liar, man. Gucci and all that stuff. So they're not,
Yeah.
and they're done. They're culturally just they're done. So as Europe implodes, I don't know about England. That's going to be interesting because they're big on the financial system side. Switzerland could be interestingly independent. I mean, I loved Europe. I lived there for 3 years when I was in the army. I loved it back when it was their culture
Yeah.
and it was just the people. I mean, I never left. I never came home for those 3 years because I take my time and I traveled. I went down and saw the Pope,
Oh
in the
wow.
Vatican, and I just, did all this stuff. I love Switzerland. Switzerland is probably in Austria, but Switzerland is probably my most favorite country in Europe. I would love to bring the family to Switzerland, for a month and get a chalet and hang out in a small village and, be in the Alps. And it is such a beautiful, beautiful country. And even parts of Germany in the down in the south, beautiful country. So there's a lot of beauty in Europe, but I don't, I'm like,
Sad.
ah,
That's so
so
sad.
so in kind of a wrap up, that's kind of where you see in the multipolar where we're going to control this region, China here, Russia here, with what we're saying, with them printing the currencies, buying all these commodities, central banks in a fever pitch to do the same thing. You see why now it is still a phenomenal time. And this wasn't really about gold and silver. It was just to give you an update of why. But we have a long way to go. We're 2 more years minimum in this commodity super cycle. And we are going to see prices rise. Yes, it will bring inflation too. So don't kid yourself. But I think Trump knows if the economy's booming, we won't recognize inflation as much.
Right.
But we have to, because printing of these currencies and doing the
Won't
policies he's
last
doing,
forever.
yeah, we're doing the same thing as China. We're just doing it differently. We're blowing out the currency too as we move into the stablecoin realm and start moving that way. That's why I think the gold backed treasury note's huge, because you have to give incentive, and that would also put trillions into our treasuries. So there's a lot going on. It's really positive. To me, $100 silver is cheap. And the way I look at it is, bottom line, it's going to probably outperform easily the stock market in the next 18 months. So that alone is the reason why you just get out of there, because the stock market next to individual investments is just not going to produce. And so you should.
Well, you've always said too, even when silver was at like $35, you were always saying, hey, even when it gets to 100, it's still cheap. Like you've
Mhm.
always said that, and now we're here, and you're still saying that. So, you answered the question, is it too late? No, it's not too
Mhm.
late. It's not too late to roll over your 401ks. No, that's what Cornerstone Asset Metal does. And I think you also created a massive picture and made it very easy and clear, Terry, of how not just gold and silver is a good investment. No, you're not too late, but that how the entire system and fiat is
Mhm.
changing, like what's
Yes.
growing, what's dying, what's not going to be anymore. I think the clearest light bulb that just went off in my head is so biblical that you just said was regional. We're going somehow we're getting into a regional plane.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And that is like the whole setup of the Ten Kings. That was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because that is definitely happening. It's not changing. We are it is over. And that's why Trump is feverishly going into Venezuela. We'll take down Cuba. We'll go after Colombia. We'll clean out our hemisphere of any Chinese, Russian influence. China and Russia knows it. That's why you didn't hear anything from China, Russia, really, when they go in and totally disrupt Venezuela and all their plans. Because I think back channels, they have an agreement. China, you're getting Taiwan. Russia, you're going to get Eurasia. You're
Hmm.
going to get Ukraine. We're going to have our hemisphere, North, South America, and we're all going regional. And we'll, at that point, we'll respect each other's region and let's get back to global trade. And so you can see where this really produces, as we go into the new financial system, it could stimulate tremendously the
Wow.
economy. We could see a major boom because we're going to need it because AI robotics, they are going to wipe out a lot
A job.
of opportunity and job.
All right, well then
I
last
mean,
question then before you go then, because that just triggered another question. Absolute last question. I know you got to go. You've been here for an hour. But how long do you think this boom, or how much time do you think we have for this boom, the super cycle for us to get it together, build our Goshens, accumulate the silver, the crypto? I mean, what is this timeline you're thinking before it is kind of over?
it's definitely, well, there's a mini cycle to that. So first, we may see the correction here in the markets. I mean, all indicators are saying Warren Buffett's still sitting in tremendous cash, 400
Yeah.
billion. So I do see a potential here, which I want to see, not because I have puts on it, but I do want to see this cleansing. I think AI and the bonds, I think those T bills are bad. I think the global bond thing could blow up. If that happens, we will have a massive stock market meltdown globally, but that will stimulate, that will be the trigger, whether it's the false flag or not,
Hmm.
that will stimulate the stablecoin implementation of CBDC, retooling of the financial system as we know is coming, the fourth turning events taking place. Many will go into slave states. Right now, we won't. But that boom can last. So we could see well past 28, we could see a really strong resurgence of economic power going into the presidential election in 28.
Hmm.
Hopefully, we can dominate, take over. Sometime going towards 30
Hmm.
into the young 30s, we're probably going to see a systemic meltdown because it's all still just not there.
That's what
Like
I'm thinking.
they've all overproduced. It's all kind of done. And so in the United States, we're going to probably have a universal basic income. Whether
Mm.
conservatives think it's bad or not, all due respect, you got millions and millions of people that just will not get a job. And you're going to have, that's why the 15-minute cities, that's why you see the push, they're saying the control, that's why digital ID, that's many will be controlled every movement they make because they're not producers. They're not part of that. Those that are in the upper echelon, the 10 percentile, the 5, the 1 percentile, those people will live still normal lives to some extent because they will be the producers of the nation. But we will have no choice but to look after and have a universal basic income.
Jeez.
And then, but by doing that, though, they'll be managing behavior like you can't believe. But
Jeez.
that's probably the case. And it will last. I think we have an opportunity, what they're doing, to literally have a resurgence of a global economy. But it's not going to last because we're done. We've overproduced. We've overconsumed. What that meltdown is going to be, I don't know, but I think there is some prophecy about 2030.
Yeah.
There's actually a UN agenda of 2030. I think I can see where that coincides with the final meltdown of this consumption materialistic world.
Yeah.
And something has to happen, whether they kill off massive population or they go into complete slave state and live in total poverty but control. Like you get your little tiny room, you will get your game console, you'll get your stipends for food, and that's your life. You have no
Jeez, that makes
choice.
me so sad.
It
Reminds me
it
of the movie
is.
Terminator Skynet. We can't get it back. It's
Yeah.
it's been released and you can't get it back.
You're not, and then they'll have AI controlling all the behavior. Like you'll be pegged. Like China. I mean, you can't go anywhere
Yeah.
without being pegged. So it
Mhm.
is sad, but when you think of it in the spiritual, we're at the population level
Right.
that's probably very similar to the days of Noah,
Right.
where it was just overwhelming. We're evil to the max.
Right.
We could be nearer to the end times than
I agree.
people
I
are
think we are.
thinking, because yeah, I agree, because we're at that stage where we could be entering into tribulation, maybe going into the 2030s,
Right.
because there's going to be billions and billions that won't be doing anything, no producing, no nothing. So yes, it is sad, but for those that properly position
Yep.
spiritually and financially, you will be that of wealth. And so I would take advantage of this commodity super cycle like we're in right now.
Yep.
Be prepared to start peeling away 25%, 25%. Go into real estate, go into crypto. We still got to get the Clarity Act passed. We
Mhm.
still have adoption to take place. So unfortunately, it's not ready yet, but it's okay to buy cheap. But right now, take advantage of profiting, because if we're at 6,000 by the end of this year in gold, 150 in silver, that's a 50% return,
Yeah.
way more than what the stock market's going to do.
Yeah.
And so and I think it goes more than that. That's the thing here. So it's a wonderful time, but just be patient, please. The whole system is clogged, and just know that when you make your buy, you will be okay. You're in the queue. And for those that did buy from big gold companies, don't sell it back to them. They will absolutely rip you off selling it back to them. Give Cornerstone a call. We'll buy it back and let you keep more of your profits. So
Amen.
just be cognizant of what's coming, and I think continue to accumulate questions. And as this comes by, let's meet up again. And
Yep.
as people start seeing what's taking place here, we do know that the Federal Reserve is coming in May. We have the big delivery month in March. The currencies are being printed worldwide. Like I said, China's blowing it out and they're buying commodities. And so it's already, the year starting out in play. We know kind of the direction it's going. What we don't know is the implosion or the false flag. And it could be the T bonds, could be the bonds globally. Like I said, Japan is melting down. It could be the bonds. We don't know. But I could see an implosion this spring, which personally would be healthy. We need to clean it out anyway. Then they'll start printing trillions, lower those rates. We'll have an economic movement starting by the end of summer, and everybody will be making money. So just be ready to position yourself, because I do believe that's coming, and it can be sustained for a time, because as we transition out of printing trillions into the new system, there's going to be a lot of money moving around.
Amen. Well, we'll end it on that. That was a lot. Thank you so much, Terry. You really are a channel favorite. So I do appreciate you always
Oh,
carving out time to speak to us. And so I just thank you. You're just such a humble person, a humble man, and you are very, very, I don't know, there's so much in your head. You're so smart. I so enjoy listening to you. So we'll do
oh.
this again soon because so much is happening so
Well,
quickly.
thank you so much. And I just give that to the Holy Spirit, because if I see 10 items on my desk, he kind of highlights the one or two I need to focus on. So, I trust in him with all my heart, lean not on my understanding, that's for sure. I just try to acknowledge him, and I encourage everyone else to do that, because he definitely
Amen.
is our rock and wisdom, and he will lead you to all the areas you're looking forward to. Just be patient, because I've had prophets. So, can I say this real quick? If anyone of those that are still standing in, so many of these prophets out there, they're saying, oh, here it is, and then therefore now. Let me just tell you, I had an amazing prophetic word spoken to me about 12, 13 years ago. And that guy was on the money. He said things nobody knew. He was actually like real. He read our mail like I've never seen before. And he laid out some things that were God was going to do for us. Every single thing has happened except
Mm.
one. And I kind of hope it doesn't. It's really good, but it's just like, why would I need that? But everything happened. But I just want to tell you, it took a long time. So when I thought, oh, well, he gave me this dream and he told me this, and the prophet said this, then therefore it's going to be tomorrow. Not
Mm.
always like that. God has to line things up. So be very sensitive to prophets when they start putting down dates because we don't know. God's got to line up a lot of things. And some of these things in the prophecy, now, I'm not saying this will be for the case for stuff that everyone's believing for, but it took 10 years.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, that 10th year, boom, it just happened. Exactly what the prophet said was going to happen happened.
So
Right
good.
down to us having more children, which we never thought was possible. So
So good.
it took time. And all I'm saying is just be patient. And in the meantime, work on, supporting one another, loving one another, trying your best to produce in other areas that you can so you can just tick away as little as possible into cryptos, into silver and other things. And be patient because I do believe it's coming. A lot of things that I know in the Christian world they're believing for, I believe a lot of it is there and it's coming, but we have to be patient. I mean, even the dinar, we've been waiting 15
Oh,
years,
for
right?
goodness sake. Yeah.
So even if that were to ever come to fruition, we'll be like, oh, cool. But at the same time, we just have to always be patient. Just know when God gives you a word or a dream, it doesn't always mean tomorrow, unless there's something specific attached to it, of course, But
So
that's all
good.
I want to say is just be patient because, he does speak to us, but he doesn't always give us the timeline and he has to line things up. So,
So good. Thank you so much, Terry. And
well, God
I will
bless you,
talk to you
Melanie.
really, really soon.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.